Hello, folks. Welcome to Business Spotlight. Something that I often get asked about is, Mark, how do I drive more traffic to my website and get more leads? Well, my guest today has got a master's degree in computer networks, and he's now leading a 35-strong team who are professionals in search and social media. They're all about generating leads for their clients. I'm delighted to be welcomed today by my fantastic guest, Syed Ali, who's the Chief Operating Officer at Honcho Search. Syed, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on. Let's dive straight in, Syed. I can't wait for this story. Can you tell me a little bit about how you came to be running Honcho and your background?
Well, I came to the country back in 2005, so it's been 18 years. Did my master's in computer networks, which has obviously got nothing to do with what I'm doing right now, essentially. But it's been an interesting journey. Since then, tried applying for loads of jobs when I finished my degree. Got a lucky breakthrough. But I was doing everything for this company. Decided that's not gonna do any good to me long term. So focused on SEO generally. Did get a lot of experience in both PPC and SEO at that stage. And since then, been quite lucky to be part of some of the very big networks, including WPP, Publicis, and Omnicom. That really set the tone for me to come to Honcho, which was business very local to me. And I think at that point, family circumstances were also pushing me towards coming to joining a company like Honcho. Relatively smallish at that stage, but the advantage I had was because I worked with all these bigger network agencies, I was able to bring all of those processes and thought process into Honcho. Been there for almost 7 years now. Started as a head of SEO, then started looking after search, and then naturally got into looking after the business because I love commercials, as well as very interested in the growth of agency right from the onset. Took that as a challenge and made some good contributions towards growing the business. That's the journey in a nutshell.
Let's dive into that a bit more. I'm really intrigued. You are an expert in SEO and social. What strategies have you used in the business to build a strong customer base and to establish your brand in what is a very competitive industry?
We're a marketing business, but at the core of it is credibility. Yeah. What we preach to our own clients, understanding our customers is really, really important. In terms of building a customer base, doing the right things, being open, being transparent with what we do is extremely important because it's all about we're in a people business essentially. In terms of like working with our customers, delivering what they really caring for, what they're after is extremely important. Obviously, skill set is there. We've got a lot of talented individuals in the business, but it's about kind of connecting, building that chemistry, really knowing what your customers are looking from you. They often have their own, obviously, growth plans for their own businesses. It's how can we help them achieve those in a way that it's very transparent and open. Looking after the people at the core of it has been quite successful for us. Or a success story for us.
You talked about having a team with a very strong skill set. How do you foster a culture of innovation and creativity within the business?
Right down to the culture, essentially. I think there are two things that play a key role in that, in my experience at least. One is obviously right from the top, you got to allow an open space for people to have a mindset of growth as opposed to like a static mindset. Presentation I watched from Guy Kowalski a while ago, which kind of said, yes, if you've done or achieved something, then someone on your shoulder is telling you, okay, what's next? I think we try to instill that mindset into the teams in terms of how are we different from the rest of the agencies? How are we delivering exceptional results or different results from what other agencies are doing at the moment, and really not micromanaging anyone in the building, basically. So that open space and open thinking and challenging the team internally. I think that mechanism or that process internally has allowed people to then think about how can they do things differently to things that are already being done in this space. And I think that really helps come up with different ideas.
You mentioned that you've been there for 7 years already. Have there been any pivotal moments, either positive or negative, that have significantly impacted on the growth of the business?
Especially around COVID, I think we saw a massive surge in obviously the growth of the agency happened quite quickly over that period. We were not prepared for that level of growth that we saw at that point, and it really challenged the processes that we had in place. I think we had to adjust really quickly, but that was a big learning curve for us. Growth-wise, obviously brilliant. Really got some really good clients over that period. But in terms of having the right processes in place was a big challenge at that point.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Some businesses did really well out of COVID and kind of really thrived and adapted to the new circumstances. But I'm sure it's not all been a bed of roses side. Have there been some moments, where there's been some failure or setbacks, and how have you handled that, and what lessons have you learned from them?
Yeah, I think the first one I would probably say, as it's quite sometimes common in the businesses we operate in, as in reliance on one client essentially, or another business that has a significant value to the business. And luckily, obviously, we were planned. This was fairly early on. We were well aware that this could be a big, have a big impact on us as a business. Less of a failure, I'd suppose, but more of a challenge that we overcame just in time. eBay was one of our clients, and obviously significant for the business. They matured and kind of moved on. We were at the right time. We had kind of balanced it out essentially with other wins. So that was quite challenging, but over time we were preparing for it and managed to kind of successfully address that and balance it out.
You're a busy guy. You're running a big team. You've got a family at home as well. How do you maintain a work-life balance side, and what strategies do you use to make sure that you avoid burnout?
As a CEO, you're kind of running the show day to day, and you're almost connected to everything that is happening in the business. However, I think I have recently realized, and this is a big shift in the mindset as well, that I need to focus on my health. Obviously, family is there too, and I've got 2 kids. Got to be there for them, essentially, and to achieve that, I'm trying to make sure that I do take holidays every now and then to avoid that burnout. I recently started running. I'm not a gym guy, but I've started going to gym as well. So forcing myself to do these things, which are slightly uncomfortable, but they drag me out of the day to day, and it's kind of good for thinking too. Because sometimes some of the best ideas that come to my mind are while running, and I'm sure everyone's spoken about it. Like you get the ideas while you're not in it.
You're all about growth for your clients, and Honcho has been a great success story as well. What growth strategies or marketing strategies have you seen work well, either for Honcho or for your clients?
For Honcho, at the very base, I would probably say, again, having the real relationship with people makes a significant difference. I think knowing someone before they come to you for the business is you're already there almost. There are 26,000 agencies in the UK, I think, or more. So how do you cut through? It's really difficult, and it really comes down to building those relationships. So that's where our focus is and has been, and that's where we win most of the times. Obviously, we match any agency in terms of skill set, but when it comes down to winning it, having that connection and like physically meeting people or knowing people, investing in those relationships has really done the trick for us.
You're in a fast moving and a notoriously dynamic sector, you know, the likes of Google and Facebook and so on are famous for constantly changing their algorithms and so on. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies to make sure that you're remaining competitive?
Follow the right people on social to stay up to date. This has been one of the challenges for me personally, as like growing into this role and stepping away from all of it, and then still the expectations of knowing it all is quite tough to manage. Certainly, I mean, you know, we talked about work-life balance. I cannot invest the same amount of time in learning these new things as I would have 10 years ago. But it's all about finding the right people that you're connected to, investing your time in, or prioritizing your time in, like going into forums or discussion panels where you know that there is thought leadership. And we got to remember, I think, when in all this fast-paced space, we gotta take a step back and always have that element of normal, because things are changing so fast. You cannot jump every time there is a new shiny thing coming out, and as marketeers, we are all guilty of doing that. At the same time, clients expect us to be on top of our game and know exactly everything that is going on. At Honcho, we have a Slack channel where, if we see anything, it's like less reliance on one person to stay up to date. It's more of a collective effort from the team.
You've had a brilliant success story, but if you were to reflect back and do it all over again, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
The biggest one, which I've realized in the last couple of years, is investing in relationships. Integrity of the work you deliver, integrity of the relationships is so important, and they become so valuable further down the line. Surround yourself with people who are positive and can inject that positive energy into you, and I think that makes a significant difference. And also, have faith in yourself. And it's like Phil Knight from Shoe Dog, famous kind of quote, as in, have faith in yourself, but have faith in faith too, because there's an element of luck that you have to rely on. You can all be clever, smart, but there's always an element which you cannot control.
Fantastic. So thank you. Look, I know that comes from a really genuine place as well, because we talked off camera in terms of your journey, and it's a really fantastic one. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experiences. It's been a joy to have you on.
Oh, thank you. No, it's lovely to be here.
Folks, if you'd like to come and share your story on Business Spotlight like Syed has just done, we'd love to hear from you. If you just comment, apply below, and we'll be in touch. Until next time, bye for now.